You know, it was very taxing on me and the team and every individual playing in our locker room and our coaching staff and things of that nature on just trying to figure out how and why are we in this predicament or why are we in that position. You know, we definitely went out on the floor and tried to figure it out and tried to help each other and hold each other accountable. It seemed like every time we would take like a step forward, you know, we would take, 3 or 4 back.
Good day. Welcome into First Take. Thank you for hanging with us. Oh, we have a whole lot to unpack today. Tim Legler in the building. Good to see you, sir. Of course, Stephen A. Smith. I'm Molly Karam. Keyshawn Johnson from the West Coast. Fellas, how we feeling? How we living?
I'm lovely.
All good. Games that count tonight. Nobody's resting.
That's right.
Yes.
That's great news.
And guess what we're talking about? You're going to love this. The L.A. Lakers, Tim.
I don't blame you.
A-Block.
I don't blame you.
Top of the
I don't blame
show.
you.
Let's get
I don't
it.
blame you.
Keys team, less than 2
This is
years
it.
removed from an NBA title. The Lakers fired Frank Vogel yesterday after missing the playoffs this season with LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis on the roster. L.A. has now had 6 coaches in 11 years since the departure of Phil Jackson and has made 1 conference finals during that span when they went on to win the Larry O'Brien in the bubble. The Lakers held a season-ending media availabilities yesterday where separately Russell Westbrook and LeBron both spoke at length. First, we'll address Russ.
How did you guys jibe as player and coach? What did you think how do you think of the job he did?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate, to be honest, because I've never, and I was saying this, I never had an issue with any of my coaches before, as much as people may assume. Or I never had an issue with any coach, any players, any staff members, anybody actually, if we're keeping it honest. And from the moment I got here, and you guys don't know this, but it was actually Frank's and his wife's anniversary, and I actually sent him a bottle of champagne and stuff to his hotel room, which he didn't know anything about, because it's a nice thing to do, nice gesture. I'm coming to the team. Congratulations to you guys, and that's just the type of person I am. I don't do it for anything back in return, but that's just something that I felt was the right thing to do. And I'm not sure what his issue was with me, or I'm not sure why, but I can't really give you an answer why we never really connected. Maybe, that's something that he has to answer, but I never, from the get-go was feeling like I was having to try to prove myself to him and my capabilities and what I've been able to do for this game. And it's unfortunate, but it's really not kind of out of my hands.
Okay. Stephen A., deserving or undeserving, Russell Westbrook took a lot of heat this season. Did he get too much blame for the Lakers struggling?
He got too much blame for the Lakers struggling. But Russell Westbrook did not get too much blame in terms of what was accorded to him in his direction. If we're talking about the Lakers have faltered, no, that's the front office. That's Rob Pelinka. That's Jeannie Buss. That's especially Linda and Kurt Rampus hiding behind everybody, trying to make every basketball decision and sitting in on coaches' meetings and all of this other nonsense. That is a collective effort, primarily the responsibility of the front office and to some degree the responsibility of LeBron James, because LeBron James obviously signed off on getting a player based on his emotion as opposed to his basketball acumen. That's the bottom line. That's why we heard LeBron James somewhat humbled yesterday in terms of talking about, I'm not going to be too involved. They asked me a question, I'll answer it, but I'm going to lay off. Because he inserted himself the previous offseason, and it cost the Lakers this season. But I have to say this, Tim and Keyshawn. Russell Westbrook, when he talks about people attacking his character, if they've done that, they're wrong. He's a good brother. He's real. He's not fake. None of that stuff. And he's a Herculean athlete. No doubt about that. He just can't shoot. And he tends to turn the ball over. When you have the ball in your hands and you're a point guard, you turn the ball over too damn much, and you can't shoot perimeter shots in this day and age. That's a problem. But I have to tell you that every time I think Russell Westbrook embarrasses himself at a press conference, he one-ups me. Last year with the Wizards, he sat up there and said, championships don't matter to me. I've seen plenty of champions that are less happier than me. You can't say that. What the hell's wrong with you? People walking through the turnstiles pay to see you play. And you talk about, hey, championship don't matter. No. He had a press conference earlier this year. He said, hey, man, You know, I had no expectations. You arrived in Los Angeles. You grew up out there. You arrived in Los Angeles wearing the purple and gold, got Keyshawn and other Lakers supporting the Lakers franchise, stuff like that. 17 world championships. And you're going to sit up there with a straight face and say that with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as your teammate, you had no expectations? You can't say that. Magic Johnson sat right there. I said, Magic, can he say that? No, he can't say that. And just when I thought I would sit up there and I heard it all from him, he shows up at the press conference yesterday and essentially throws Frank Vogel under the bus, a now fired Frank Vogel, who, by the way, started you 78 games. He never benched you. I'm talking about the return from the start lineup. Now, he had to pull you out from a couple of games because he's trying to win the damn game because you had gone through such a slump. There were people literally publicly speculating whether or not you should see a sports psychologist. That's how bad we thought Russell Westbrook. I didn't say that, but people were saying that. And you go to a press conference yesterday and you bring up how you sent them a bottle of champagne. What the hell does that have to do? He's the coach. He's there to coach you, not to be your friend, not to sit up there and cultivate a relationship with you that makes you feel good or whatever. I mean, he ain't treat you like trash. That would be different. If he disrespected you, that would be different. But you got to play. And at the end of the day, you gave the indication, Russell Westbrook, you gave the indication that the relationship with Vogel was problematic, as if that excused what we saw from you. Russell Westbrook pulled up from 15 and 17 feet and hit the side of the backboard. In a layup line, Keyshawn, when you throw the ball up, to catch it and alley-oop, and not even alley-oop, I'm just saying throwing it off the backboard and slam it in a layup line. Before the game, he threw it over the backboard. I'm looking up right now because I still couldn't believe what I saw. These are the moments, and that's just a couple. They actually have done blooper reels on a Hall of Famer, unquestionable Hall of Famer. That is Russell Westbrook. And you go in a press conference yesterday, and your response after the season you had, which was unquestionably the worst season of your career, and your reaction is Frank Vogel, and I don't know what happened to the relationship, and you trying to come across as the victim? You've got to be kidding me. It's embarrassing. Russell Westbrook is so much better than that. The man is a superstar talent who had an awful season, who should be working on his jump shot, okay, period. Get your perimeter game together, get your decision-making together. But this, guys, that's what I peeled away from. I couldn't believe that you picked yesterday and you talking about your relationship with Frank Vogel when you started 78 games like you were robbed of an opportunity to produce. You had opportunity night in, night out to produce, and you had some good games, but you had a lot of bad games. You got to own that. As Magic Johnson would say, stop with the excuses. Just own it and move forward, because we know what he's capable of.
You know what, though, Stephen A? Look, I'm not going to be apologetic for Russell Westbrook's play at all. No question about it. He had a bad season, but I certainly understand when you are posed a question, you know, as a journalist, you asked a question, you're going to get an answer. That question was asked about the relationship with Frank Vogel. What is he supposed to say? He's supposed to lie to him? No. He gave him the true facts. He didn't see what he thought he was going to see. It didn't happen the way he thought it was going to happen. Those things do happen in a building of athletics. Coaches and players sometimes don't see eye to eye, and it will affect the way that you perform. And I know you look at it and you say 78 games. Yeah, some of those games he were benched late in the fourth quarter, those games. Sometimes things didn't go well the way he wanted to. And I don't think in terms of blame, I think what happens is when AD is missing, and LeBron is missing, and Westbrook is the only guy on the floor, and he's not living up to his end of the bargain, he's going to take the blame. That's just part of it. You're paying a guy however much money he made this year. I know he's on the books for $47 million for next season, but when you start looking at the financials of things, being one of the highest paid players, a former MVP, and certainly a Hall of Famer like you say, you start pointing the finger. When you start shooting the ball, missing air ball shots, going to the cup, missing balls, throwing them over the backboard, turn over the ball, doing those sort of things. And like LeBron James said yesterday, they played 21 games together. Injuries derailed this team. And as he mentioned, he loved the three guys together because Westbrook clearly should be the point guard, pushing the ball up the court in transition, pushing it to LeBron on the wing, lobbing it to AD, like LeBron said. For whatever reason, you heard it just like I did, Tim, in Stephen A. That wasn't the case. Frank Vogel clearly didn't want it to be that way, and that created a problem for Westbrook. He felt that he was brought there to do a certain job and wasn't allowed to do that job. And I personally believe it got in the head of him, so it ultimately affected his performance. The Lakers are a better team than what they showed. No question about it. A lot of it is LeBron James' fault because he signed off on things. Let's see what happens moving forward. I don't think that this program, these three guys are completely done together. I think if they got the time to work together, you'll see what happens. But right now, it just looks bad. They're out of the playoffs. They're the Lakers, and we're looking for answers.
Here's why I think he got too much of the blame, Stephen A. and Key. What did you expect to happen when you take a guy that knows one style, one speed, full throttle all the time, give me the ball, let me get downhill, let me just go. All night long, 48 minutes, relentlessly attacking, coming at you. But it's my show, it's my decision, it's my ball. And now you put him in a situation where LeBron James is a point guard. Let's face it, let's call him what he is. He is a point guard. Mm-hmm. You put him on the floor and tell him to try to figure out how to play without the ball in his hands most of the game. You're going to get a performance like you saw this year. I said the day after he joined the Lakers, at no point this year will Russell Westbrook have any rhythm. At no point. Because he needs the ball, he needs a certain tempo to the game. And even then, he's going to be an inefficient shooter, even when he's got the ball the whole time. But when you take it out of his hands and say, play off the ball, I'm not a spot-up shooter. I'm not great at slashing from the weak side, catching the ball and finishing. I don't even have the ability really to make people better that often because I don't have it at the start of the possession. This is what you get. And by the way, I looked it up today because I was surprised to see this. You know that 9 different seasons he shot worse from the field than he did this year? So it's not like he had some epically poor shooting season. This is kind of what Russell Westbrook does. He makes 43, 44% of his shots. He did it again this year. The difference was he didn't have the ability to impact the game in the ways that he could normally because he didn't have the ball as much, and he felt uncomfortable in that role. So, yes, I think too much was laid at his feet. Certainly too much, I think, laid at Frank Vogel's feet. To me, the number one thing, Anthony Davis, LeBron James couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Period.
Well, I will say this, a couple of things, because I want to get at Keyshawn, because Keyshawn said a few things that I totally disagree with. Couple of things. Number one, they played 21 games together. What was their record in those 21 games?
11 and 10.
11 and 10. I mean, just stop the presses, Keyshawn. Just stop the presses. I mean, my God, they played 21 games together. That's it. Well, what the hell did they do with the 21 games they had? The fact of the matter is...
Yeah, but Stephen A., how you going to play 21 games and have any cohesiveness
Wait a minute. Time out. I'm not talking about the cohesiveness for a second. And see, this is where you got slick because, you know, you're pretty much of an expert at this. You got slick, so I'm coming at you right now. See, it's interesting that you bring this up because, Tim Legler, is it beyond the pale if Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James are what they're supposed to be in the 21 games? How come you couldn't go 15-6? How come you couldn't go 17-4? Is that beyond the pale? Is that too much to ask for those dudes? The reality of the situation is if they did that in the 21 games that they had together, Keyshawn, they're in the playoffs. And they didn't. So it's not just about the fact that they didn't play together. It's the fact that they were never together. It was the fact that they were never meant to be together, which is what Tim pointed out. That's number one. Number two, you talk about Russ, you want to look past. And I understand that because you Lakers through and through. I get all of that.
So the season,
hold on. So the season just ended 48 hours ago. It's about moving forward. Hell no. We going to stay right here for this second and deal with that slobbery franchise that just stole money from the Los Angeles public. That's what we gonna do. Maybe a month from now, maybe a few weeks from now, sure. But ain't no way in hell before even a play-in begins, you gonna act like, oh, we just need to look forward. Hell no, we need to look backwards. We need to know a little bit about our history to understand how awful this assemblage of Los Angeles Lakers truly were. That's number two. Number three. when we talk about Russell Westbrook, let's get down to the nitty-gritty about this. The brother can't shoot. We can shoot. Okay?
But we all know
hold on,
he
hold on.
struggles
Let me-
shooting. Tim
time
just
out.
laid it out.
No, but here's the problem. It's about you knowing that. It's about you accepting that. We didn't say Russell Westbrook can't play. We didn't say he's not a star caliber talent. We didn't say he's not a future Hall of Famer. What we're saying is that perimeter shooting ain't your thing. What was the problem, Tim Legler? Half the time he was shooting perimeter shots. Well, if you know that's what the hell you can't do, why do you keep doing it? And so there's a reason that Frank Vogel benched him. Frank Vogel benched him a couple of times because Frank Vogel was questioning the decision making. You know what you can and can't do. Why are you doing this? You know that's going to hurt us. Why are you not listening? And the reason why Russell Westbrook didn't have a problem with coaches in the past is because even though he was pig-headed and stubborn in his ways, he was so electrifying, particularly with his finishes at the basket. We said, okay, we're going to eat that. We're going to live with that because you can't have it all. This year, he was missing a lot of those layups. And so we got to point that out. But in the end, it ain't even about his game because I think Russell Westbrook going to have a monster season next year. I think he's going to come back with a vengeance and he's going to remind us.
With the Lakers?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
But I think he's going to remind us who he is as a talent.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. In the end, if your mentality is to go up as a representative of a franchise, saying the things that you say, then all of a sudden you bring everybody back to, you know what everybody's saying this morning about Russell Westbrook? Why are you saying that? What the hell you brought up champagne for? To Frank Vogel. Why are you having this attitude like you were a
Because
victim?
he was
when
simply
you started
trying to
17
tell
years?
you.
I know they asked him the question,
here's
but
the
that
other
don't mean
thing.
you get to
Win
answer it that way.
defenses.
Listen, Russell Westbrook is answering questions, and even earlier this year when he said, "You guys think that I take this home with me? This don't bother me.
Yes.
I got to wipe." You know why he does that? Here's what Russell Westbrook is trying to say to the media. There is nothing any of you can say to me that's going to get inside my bubble.
Because I'm getting
Right?
paid.
Yeah.
Even if
Because
it
I'm
is getting in
paid.
there, he's not going to give you the satisfaction to think you're affecting
Because
me
I'm
one
getting paid.
bit.
Because
Stephen
I'm
A.
getting paid. And at
Stephen
the
A.
end of the day, you got to be able to listen.
It's Stephen A.
Keyshawn, you cannot throw that aside, bro. You can't do that.
I'm not throwing it aside. You mentioned the situation that happened with the Wizards. You mentioned the situation that happened with the Lakers in the press conference. Now you're talking about the Frank Vogel stuff. How come it's a problem that he wants to put blinders on to the outside noise and focus in on the task at hand? Why is it
Can I answer that?
he's not listening to the noise?
Can I answer that? Because you know the answer to this better than me. It's a problem when he does that because what you're doing is not dealing with you because you still step out on the court and do the same things that you've been doing over and over and over again, even though it's proven not to work.
It doesn't mean that he's not dealing with him. It just means he's not dealing with you. He
No,
doesn't want to hear you. That's all it means.
No, it doesn't. Because I'm not saying that. I'm saying that his history, Russell Westbrook has been to the championship one time, 2011, 2012. That incredible talent who's had Kevin Durant, James Harden, Serge Ibaka, Reggie Jackson, Victor Oladipo, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, James Harden again, LeBron James and Anthony Davis has not been in the finals. How will we ignore this?
But Anthony Davis.
But okay, so
half
but
of the
look,
games this
I don't want to get
season,
off on it
LeBron
like
is
this,
nearly
Stephen A. But you just mentioned all that about Westbrook. You can say the same thing about Chris Paul. He's had this, and he's only been to the final one time. That's not fair.
No, it doesn't even compare.
But it's
Look
not
at Chris
fair.
Paul's teammates compared to Russell Westbrook.
But
Are you kidding me? Chris Paul
not-
is approaching 37 years of age and is universally recognized as one of the top point guards, if not the best point guard in basketball.
But what I'm trying to tell you, and you know this, just because you haven't gotten somewhere and haven't won something doesn't mean that you're a failure at what you do.
I'm not calling him a failure. I would never do that to Russell Westbrook.
I use the word failure. You did.
What I am saying is because that's your reality, maybe instead of looking on the outside like Tim Legler says, you sit up and you own it.
All right.
You want him to say, "Hey, I need to be better."
That's all.
That's what you want him to say.
That's all.
He doesn't believe that,
Yeah.
though.
Right.
He
And
doesn't.
that's what I'm telling
Maybe
Keyshawn.
he believes AD and LeBron.
That's
need to
what
be
I'm
healthy.
telling Keyshawn.
Into that-
He's in the wrong lane,
You
man. He
ain't
got
telling
put
me
in the
nothing,
wrong
man.
lane
Take
out
that
there.
L.
Whatever. Yeah, ain't no L. I don't take L's on first take, baby. They didn't tell you.
Oh my goodness.
It don't happen.
I just want to wrap this by
right.
saying this. LeBron has missed an entire season worth of games since joining the Lakers, and AD's missed 39% of LA's games since joining the Lakers. There we go. We'll keep it rolling. To the East Coast we go. So after ending the regular season with 4 straight victories, including one against Cleveland, the Nets are favored to take the rematch in tonight's play-in game as the Nets look to earn their way into a first-round playoff matchup against the second-seeded Celtics. Would be very helpful is having Ben Simmons back. Here's Steve Nash on Simmons potentially playing.
I think the bottom line is we would be adding a substantial talent to our team, and so we really welcome him in a number of ways. He fits and he helps in a lot of ways that we're in need of help, and so we would welcome that challenge of trying to incorporate him in a playoff situation where he has no history with our team, no minutes on the floor with his teammates, and see how we can forge that understanding as quickly as possible.
All right. So assuming the Nets get out of the play-in tournament, they would face either the 1 or 2 seed. So I'll ask you this, Tim. Would it be a bigger challenge for them to face the Heat or the Celtics?
I think it'd be a bigger challenge who would it be a bigger challenge for the Nets for? For me, if they played the Boston Celtics, I think that's more difficult. For Brooklyn, that's who they're going to play because they're going to win tonight. Okay. They're going to win tonight. They're going to beat Cleveland at home, and then they're going to get the Boston Celtics. This is the team that's been the best defensive team in the league for 2 months. They can come up with something against Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, I think, that's going to force other guys to have to do something. And look, they're special talents. They're flamethrowers. You can't put anything against them. And the most important thing about those 2 players is they love this environment. They have proven that they can run to the light. They are not going to shrink on this stage. So there's no doubt they're capable of being good enough offensively to overcome their defensive issues. But I do think with what Boston is doing right now, with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown playing better together than they have at any point since they have been teammates, they seem to have finally figured out how to complement each other to go with a top-shelf defensive team coming into it. I think that's more of a challenge for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving than it would be even against the Heat, because I think the Heat, there's something with them that just didn't jive with me at the end of the year. I just didn't see a team, to me, that was clicking. I thought when they added the guys, they added Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, I thought this could be the best defensive team in the NBA night in, night out. And sometimes they are. Problem is, they also go through stretches where they have issues putting the ball in the basket. And if you go into that situation against the Brooklyn Nets, I think that could be a problem for the Miami Heat. So I think Brooklyn wins tonight. They get the Celtics. And I think the Boston Celtics ultimately are going to win that series.
The Boston Celtics, to me, are very, very similar to the Brooklyn Nets in this one way. Either of them could come out of the East. Either of them could be home in the first round. And that's how it's going to end up being, basically. That's what we're talking about here. And I happen to know on good authority, don't worry about how I know. You have some people within the Boston Celtics organization that they don't like the fact that they're going to end up playing the Brooklyn Nets. They wish they would have lost so they'd have had somebody else. But give Udoka credit. Remember, he's a first-time coach. And I said this to somebody the other day. If you're an experienced coach and you play a numbers game or you play a competitive game in terms of this opponent would be better suited for us than the other opponent, fine. But when you are a first-year head coach, the most important thing to do is establish culture. And Udoka is saying, we don't give a damn who we going up against. We going to be ready. This is what it's about. We either ready for the big dance or we not. We ain't bound to nobody, and we ain't looking for shortcuts, and we're not looking for any way out. And I respect the hell out of that because I think that's the kind of thing that will propel Boston. Now, I would be far more confident in the Boston Celtics if Robert Williams was healthy, all right? But he's not. And so we don't know what his status is. It doesn't look good. I don't know what to say about that. If he's in the lineup, I got more confidence in Boston. With him out of the lineup, I can still see Brooklyn finding a way to pull out the series. With all of that being said, I do believe Boston is the bigger challenge to the Brooklyn Nets. And it's because of how they play defense collectively. Now, some people say Miami, and I get Miami, they got a lot of weapons. The difference between Miami and Boston, I view Boston as having 2 closers. I see Miami having a bunch of dudes who can close, but no definitive closer. And we know Brooklyn's got 2 closers. And so when I look at it from that perspective, and then I take into account how tenacious Boston's defense has been, I give Boston a better shot against Brooklyn than Miami in a first-round series. Maybe I'd feel differently in the second round or a conference finals, but for a first-round playoff series, I think Boston would be a bigger threat.
I think we all in somewhat of agreement there. I look at Boston as very similar to the Nets. They mirror each other. They got two closers, like you said, Stephen A. The one thing that Boston has is a relentless defense that is not in Brooklyn. Brooklyn doesn't have Ben Simmons, which was supposed to be the defensive stopper for them. I think that is in terms of the Achilles heel, that will be the Achilles heel. Then you switch to Miami, you talk about Miami's defense been up and down, not as well as we thought they will have been throughout the course of the season, but they can't score nearly as well as the Nets or the Celtics for that matter. So in the end, the biggest challenger certainly would be Boston. Tatum is reckless right now, and he's just outstanding, just doing everything you thought he was capable of doing when he got drafted from Duke. But then on the other side, Brown is certainly living up to his end of the bargain, because we certainly thought at the beginning of the season that those two wouldn't be able to coexist long term, but they got it together, and that's why they probably are going to see the Nets.
Yeah, and the Nets beat the Heat in March with KD and Kyrie in the lineup, and they lost to the Celtics in March with KD and Kyrie in the lineup. Let's look ahead, Stephen A. Tons of storylines heading into the postseason. So who has the most at stake in these playoffs?
What you mean? I mean, I need specific. You talk about a team or a player?
Go either.
James Harden. I don't think there's any question about it. When you consider the fact that he's looking to get a $200 million contract within the next year or so, that's one element. Him playing in Philly is one element, because as Tim Legler fully knows, and he knows I fully know, this ain't Houston. This ain't Oklahoma City. You show up in Philadelphia and you don't respond to the challenge that is presented to you, it's going to be very, very difficult for James Harden. Number 3, you got to validate everything that Daryl Morey's done. And I want to put this on blast. Daryl Morey, to me, has put his career on the line. When you sit up there and you trade Simmons, Seth Curry, Drummond, 2 first-round picks, and rumors are already swirling. And by the way, I don't understand why, because I don't understand this love affair with Mike D'Antoni. I just don't. He can coach. Don't get me wrong. He's offensively brilliant. As Jamie Foxx joked, take the D out of D'Antoni. You understand what I'm saying? After all this time, he hasn't figured out you have to play defense at some time. Take the D out of D'Antoni. He don't think about it. He don't talk about it. He don't care about it, okay? You know what I mean? He's the one, as far as I'm concerned, that invented defensive coordinators in the sport of basketball, because you knew you needed one when he coached you, because he wasn't thinking about it, okay? I don't understand how this guy is the guy that's in line for Doc Rivers' job in Philadelphia, okay? But he is. And if James Harden doesn't get it done, okay, they're going to fire Doc Rivers, all right? They're going to bring in Mike D'Antoni, all right? And Daryl Morey is going to be on a hot seat, because James Harden still would not have gotten it done. And everybody going to look at Daryl Morey and say, what I said from day one, what the hell you give up all of that for James Harden? Now, I understand Ben Simmons ain't been playing, and don't get me started with that. I mean, the back injury, I mean, what the hell he was doing, drive down the turnpike. Like I said, yesterday, hit a pothole. You understand what I'm saying? Hit back.
They got a lot of them in Philly. You know that.
There's a lot of them.
They've been working on those roads for a long time.
I guess so. Or messed his hips up in some other way, and it's affected his back. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. But eventually, we surmise he will be back. In the end, you, Daryl Morey, you did all of this for James Harden. James Harden has to come through, because his money is on the line and jobs are on the line. And it's got James Harden's name written all over it.
I'm going to play semantics with your question, because I think the way you worded the question.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Who's got the most at stake?
Yeah.
I think your answer is who's got the most pressure on them. There is no question it's James Harden. There's not a close second.
Okay.
It's going to fall in his lap. Okay?
Okay.
Most at stake, though, I can go one of 2 ways. I can go with somebody you mentioned, Daryl Morey, who clearly has a lot at stake if this fails, especially if they lose in the first round.
That's right.
And I think Doc Rivers has a lot at stake, too, because if James Harden continues to play the way he's playing, you're going to have to figure out a way to help coach them through that series with Toronto. Because if he struggles right now, the way I see it, they're going to lose that series if he continues to play the way he has last week. Right. But I got an even better answer. Most at stake to me, clearly, is Chris Paul. He's running out of time. He's running out of time, Stephen A. And if he doesn't win it this year with a team that is clearly head and shoulders the best team in the NBA on both ends of the floor, they are a prohibitive favorite to win a title. If you don't win it this year, what happens next year? Denver gets their guys back. The Clippers get Kawhi back. Golden State is whole going into the year with a healthy Klay Thompson and guys like Kuminga getting better. You add a Wiseman. The West is just going to get tougher. This is the year for Chris Paul to add that championship title to his resume. Now, I don't have any doubt he'll play great. But if he ends up with the ball in a make-or-miss moment, in a defining moment in a series, in the finals, then he's gonna get blamed for that. The pressure will shift to him, and that's why he has the most at stake going in, because this is his year more than any other, clearly, to end up with a title that we all think he deserves based on his career. If he doesn't get it this year, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, Legs, I got to piggyback with you on that one, because when I look at the situation in Philadelphia, James Harden is going to get his money no matter what, because they gave up too much to get him. No matter who the coach is going to be, that is going to be the case. They're going to cash it in on him. And then when you look at Doc Rivers' situation, if Doc Rivers is run out of Philadelphia, rumors has that he could be landed back in Los Angeles coaching the Lakers. And so that is not that big of a deal. His career is going to go on, both of those guys. But Chris Paul, at 37, 38 years old, the opportunity of a lifetime, having the best team potentially in the NBA. The West is somewhat down right now. And we know the history of Chris Paul in the playoffs. We've been pulling for him for years. Last year, I'm not even a Phoenix fan, but I was pulling for him to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. But guess what? They got derailed. Time is running out, much like you said, Leg. So at stake for him and his career and his legacy, Chris Paul, for sure, 100%.
Both of y'all are wrong, but that's okay.
You're outnumbered. You're outnumbered.
How are we going to be wrong, Stephen A? Tell us how we're wrong if we're wrong, boss.
I'm about to tell you. I'm about to tell you, Key. I'm about to tell you. Chris Paul is phenomenal. And being 36, about to turn 37 in a couple of months, right now, I challenge anybody to tell me a better point guard, pure, quintessential, prototypical point guard. Who's a better point guard in the game of basketball than Chris Paul at this moment? We look at athleticism, guys that finish at the basket, the Ja Morant, and the spectacular. But when you talk about a floor general, an extension of the coach, an umbilical cord per se, somebody who runs the team the way a point guard is supposed to run a team, Chris Paul is the best point guard in the NBA, in the world right now. It's not even close. Now, having said all of that, we recognize that. Sure, the window is closing because of what you pointed out, and there's pressure in that regard, you and Keyshawn. Y'all are not wrong about that. But we look at a guy that's 6 feet, undersized, can barely touch the rim for crying out loud. He ain't dunking on nobody. His athleticism is not what speaks out about him. It's the ball handling skills. It's the passing ability. It's his mind, his ability to be the floor general, to make sure everybody else is doing their job. Those are the components that contribute to the greatness of a Chris Paul. So that what I'm saying to you is that when win, lose, or draw, we're going to talk about him in that light. How are we going to talk about James Harden if he wets the bed?
The way we have been. That's
right.
That's what I'm saying.
This is going to be really bad.
We're already skeptical about him. That's what I'm saying.
Chris Paul is under pressure to win a chip. James Harden is under pressure to be relevant.
Show up?
Yeah, but
show up.
You also mentioned the pressure that's on James Harden is to be able to cash in at the end of the day. And what I said is that's going to happen regardless.
No. Hold on. Time out. Tim Lake is right here with me. Oh, how wrong you are, my
No, I'll tell Molly to run it back, Stephen A. You said that he's
I know what I said.
Money.
No, I know what I said. I'm saying you're wrong to assume he gonna get that money from Philly no matter what.
Yeah, that he.
Oh, you are wrong.
So you gonna give up? You gonna give up all that to let him walk out the door?
What are you saying? That they won't resign him? He's saying if he
I'm saying
he won't opt in.
He's saying
I'm talking about the 200 million.
Oh,
right.
Oh, he ain't getting that money. He don't show up. That Daryl Morey he won't be able to walk the street if he pays Harden that money. If Harden don't show up,
he's never faced anything like he's gonna face in Philadelphia if he doesn't show up in this playoff.
Yeah, he gonna catch some heat. But you telling me, Stephen A., they done gave up the farm to go get him, and they gonna let him walk out the door and
No, I'm not saying that, Key. What I'm saying to you is that this man is in pursuit of like $200 million. I'm telling you, that amount of money Daryl Morey can't walk the streets of Philadelphia if he gives it to James Harden, if James Harden doesn't show
up in the playoffs.
It won't happen,
That's
Key.
fair.
It won't happen,
Hey,
I'm telling you.
Hey, we're up against it, but I just got to say this. I thought you would have for sure went Kyrie Irving. After all you've talked about Kyrie this season, and then now that he can play full time.
Well, because I think Harden's worse. I think Harden's in a worse situation right now than Kyrie Irving is in Brooklyn. Because remember, Ben Simmons ain't on the court. They got excuses. I'm not going to accept it because they still got KD.
They're
Kyrie.
nervous in Philly.
No, they're
they're
nervous.
nervous.
Philly's a different ball game. I'm telling y'all what I know.
I know, but you
tell you what I
still
know.
have KD and Kyrie.
Oh, by the way, Molly, James Harden, you understand he can't go out, right? Or these playoffs.
Oh, you mean
But
after?
then you know how you go hang out and all that stuff.
He
He can't do that. But I promise you, I promise you, if he's struggling, let that brother go out in Philadelphia and he's struggling. Am I lying?
Oh, no, you're 100%.
Let him go out and he's struggling. It'll be a problem.
On point.
It'll be a problem.
I thought it's the city.
And I know one of the 4 or 5 spots he's
better
going
order
to
in.
go to. 'Cause I've been in those spots.
That's right.
A lot, Stephen. He can't go.
All right.
I love
much for
James
the
Harden.
city of
I'm just telling
brotherly
y'all what
love.
I'm telling you. I know Philly.
All right, we'll leave it there. Only Karl Malone and Elgin Baylor have more career playoff points without a chip than James Harden. When we come back here on First Take, the once favored Lakers missed the playoffs with LeBron, AD, and it's about how he believes women should act while appearing on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast on Sunday, saying, quote, "Now a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater to a man's needs," right? And I think a lot of times when you get that aesthetic of I'm a boss bee, I'm a this, I'm a that. No, baby, but you can't cook. You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to lead, how to allow a man to lead. Okay, let's take a moment and unpack this. Stephen A.
Hell with
Smith,
that.
Your reaction.
Hold.
No, go
This
ahead.
is one of those moments.
Go
Hell
ahead.
with me.
No, go ahead.
What you got
Go
to
ahead.
say?
No, I want you to go. I want you to go ahead. I want you to go ahead.
You notice I'm the only man here, right?
Yeah.
All the men ran.
Because I want everyone to know, everyone else was scared to touch this subject. No, in all seriousness,
Right.
That's why I respect you, because you don't shy away from anything. And you'll take the heat when it comes.
Let me say this. It's a couple of things. The first order of business, I want to tell a little fun story.
Okay.
I got a brother, we call him Money Mark.
Mm-hmm.
He knows who he is. It's my brother. You know I love you, bro. And here's the deal. One of my childhood buddies had gotten into an argument with his wife, and it was all of us around. This happened like 3 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And we were all hanging out at a spot in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And one of my childhood buddies had gotten into an argument with his wife, and F that, I ain't taking this, blah, 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 sticking out his chest, just going off, right?
Yeah.
And he was telling us some of the things that he was saying while he was going off to her. And my boy Money Mark said, "You can't talk to a woman like that. You can't sit up there and talk out of your mouth and have that kind of attitude and be all disrespectful and then have your hand out for the electric bill. You can't do that." And all of us just rolled laughing.
Fell out.
Because in a bigger way, it's a bigger point.
Yeah.
And it's something that Cam Newton missed along the way. You can talk about the role that you want to play, you want a woman to play in your life. But guess what? What about the role you play? Mm-hmm. What about the level of inspiration and motivation that you give her to be all you want her to be? What about the fact that she has the choice to be what she wants to be? And the choices that she made was why you wanted her to begin with. That's what he's missing in all of this. You don't talk about a woman in the fashion that he just articulated. There is nothing wrong if you are a man. I want to play this role. I want my woman to play this role. But it's co-signing. It's a partnership. Everybody, whatever role play. You got some women, okay, you might know how to cook. You might know how to throw down. Some women don't want to cook. She wants you to cook. And you the better cook than her. But guess what? She brings other things to the table. You make sure you make these kind of discussions and you make these kind of judgment calls. That's how you find what's best for you. What's best for you isn't necessarily applicable to every man. And when you hear somebody like Cam Newton say the things that he said, here's what I think he missed. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that Cecil Newton, Cam Newton's father, has a profound impact on his life. He is a good man by all accounts from people who meet him, talk about him, et cetera, right? When Cam Newton makes a statement like this, he has a mother who's been married to his father for many, many years, and one would deduce, you must have saw your mother play a role. Well, guess what? The role that she's played in his life is because of the role he's played in hers. The same man that you admire, that woman has been his rock, his iron. She's been by his side.
But he could have said those qualities. He could have said loyalty, loving, rock by his side through the thick and the thin. But he went straight to the antiquated stereotypes.
The antiquated stereotype, which a lot of men have. And the real problem that a lot of women, the point that you're talking about, a dude, I've never been married. I didn't want to be married. That might change sooner or later, but we'll see. You know, the point that I'm making is that it's by choice, because obviously I could have a wife if I wanted to. I've just been blessed in that regard. But here's the point. In the end, what it comes down to is this. You don't disrespect the woman by sitting there and talking about them like that. And then generalizing that way. Now, some people look and they'll say, Stephen A., you've had your issues in the past where you said this, with, you know, Steph Curry, Aisha Curry from years ago. I will remind people, wasn't talking about gender. I'm talking about the role somebody plays. If somebody's in the public eye and you're not in the public eye, be careful about what you say, because it could be a reflection on them. Same with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. You know, that's all. But I misspoke.
Yeah, and you learn from it.
And you learn from it and you go forward. The point that I'm making is that in the end, if you're Cam Newton, just in 2017, you said it was funny when a female reporter asked you about running routes, and literally said, it's funny that a female is asking about running routes, as if she had no place covering football. That same reporter you were talking about back then, formerly of the Charlotte Observer, is now working for The Athletic. She's covered the Rams in the Super Bowl. She's won awards. She's doing a lot of things, as they wrote about this morning in the Charlotte Observer. I'm just saying that if you're Cam Newton, who by all accounts is a good brother, a contributor, very philanthropic, a contributor to the community, great with kids, good person, stuff like that. When you come across this antiquated, and you were guilty of that in 2017, and you follow that up 5 years later in 2022, what you have shown is that you haven't evolved, you haven't educated yourself, you haven't changed, and you're not appreciating women the way that you do. As a black man who was raised by 5 women, including the greatest woman that I've ever known, which is my mother, I believe the greatest man on earth is the man that has the right woman by his side. No matter what we achieve as men, I'm telling you right now, I have been very, very blessed and fortunate to achieve a lot of things that I have achieved. I haven't scratched the surface of my potential yet, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not married. The second that you know without a shadow of a doubt that you have the right woman by your side.
You're stronger together. You're better
your
together.
potential elevates exponentially. And Cam Newton doesn't seem to know that yet. It's not a reason to excoriate him. It's a reason actually to feel sad and say, brother, we want to help you get over to this place, because right now you are as antiquated as it comes.
Exactly. That's the word I would use. Disrespectful, antiquated. And the other thing I'll say is he's a free agent, so it's also ill-advised if you're trying to get paid as well. Those aren't the kind of comments that you want to make.
I will say this, though. I don't believe that that's a cause for an NFL team to say he shouldn't be playing football for us.
They're not excited about it, though.
I know they're not. No, I know you're right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I don't think that. I think his 0-5 record as a starter last season, the fact that he got benched for Sam Darnold, the fact that he hasn't been himself in the last several years, I think that's the reason he shouldn't be a starting quarterback in the National Football League rather than this. But again, I got love for the brother. I respect him. But women, the power of women. I cannot say this enough. Even the Bible says, the man who finds a wife finds a good thing.
No, finds treasure.
Finds treasure.
That's what it is, finds a treasure. And this is just one thing I want to say really quickly, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but this bothered me a little bit, is why do you have to be one or the other? Why do you have to put someone in the box? Like, I went to church on Sunday. I cooked dinner last night. I got dressed up, the full glam. I'm hosting a show and making a paycheck now. Why can't you be all things? Why does it have to be like the bad bee that goes out and gets the money, and then the woman, I can also do laundry, this and that. And that's my choice, because I want to be able to cook. I want to be able to take care of home. And I also really care about my career. So it's why are you putting us in a box? Why is it either or? I'm blue collar and white collar.
That's why you Molly Q. Because you're blue collar and white collar, because I trust you, me. Most men want both.
Yeah.
Want it all.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
We don't want you to be limited, ladies. We want bring all you got.
And guess
it
what?
Benefits us.
You guys bring all you got too.
That's right.
Bring it all too. The blue collar, white collar. All right, bring the A game.
I like that.
We'll leave it there. Hey, appreciate the dialogue. Appreciate you not shying away as always. Things are just a little messy right now in the season with LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis on the roster. LA has now had 6 coaches in 11 years. Since the departure of Phil Jackson, it has made 1 conference finals during that span when they went on to win the Larry O'Brien. That was in the bubble. The Lakers held season-ending media availabilities yesterday. Here's LeBron James reflecting on the season that ended early.
And it's not failure at all, man. Listen, we came to work every single day, put our hard hats on, and we try to get better every day. And the result just didn't happen for us. But it's not a failure.
A core of you, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook just need more time to grow. And should the prevailing wisdom be to bring it back?
Well, I mean, that's not my decision. I mean, it's not my decision to sit here and say, well, this is what we should bring back and have on the roster. I mean, that would be the front office decision, and obviously, they may ask for the input. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, they'll make the decision if they feel that best suits this franchise going forward.
Key, you're up first. This is your squad. So LeBron said this season was not a failure. Talk to me.
Yeah, I stumble over those words because I really honestly think LeBron's just talking at this point.
Okay.
Because he knows clearly the season is a failure. Any season that LeBron James doesn't make a deep run in the playoffs or a run to the championship, it's a failure. On top of that, Stephen A. and Molly, what the Lakers did to acquire Westbrook, to put him with Anthony Davis and LeBron James after 19 months removed from winning a world championship, whether you like it or not, it was in the bubble. I don't care. Bubble, street park, wherever, we still won a championship. It's a complete failure. LeBron knows that. LeBron James is probably tongue-in-cheeking when answering that question. I mean, there's really nothing else for me to say. It was a failure. They've got to do a better job at putting pieces around LeBron. Okay, it's like a banana split, so to speak. You got 3 nice flavors of ice cream in the middle. They had bad bananas and bad toppings. They got to get rid of the bad bananas and the bad toppings. The 3 flavors is still there. Go out, get some young guns and some young talent on the cheap and put them with them dudes and go out there and play next year and see what happens.
But the 3 flavors were melting.
Well, they were hurt, though, Molly. They were all banged up and hurt.
That was a joke. Just laugh. Get it?
I'm laughing.
Come on. At least I laughed. Go ahead, Steve.
I don't know why Stephen A. got that look on his face.
I appreciate your comments, Key, because I agree with you. I'm just a little annoyed by it. It's like, LeBron, not your comments, LeBron's comments.
Okay.
Yo, come on, LeBron. Let me look into the camera. I mean, Bronny's watching, bro. The family's watching. The basketball world is watching. How could you say something so flagrantly untrue? How could you do that? Come on, bro. You better than that. LeBron James is one of the greatest players this game has ever seen. My brother, we will miss you when you are gone. Your commitment to excellence, the constant fact that you're always in shape, you're ready. 19 years in the league. Your 19th season, you averaged 30. You flat out balled. and you're going to sit up here and make sure, because we know you're going to do, because being the professional that you are, you did your exit interview, and now we ain't going to see you do no interviews with the media for a few months. We know how you roll, and rightfully so, because you're professional, and 99% of the time you show up there and you do your post-game interviews and you talk to the press. You fulfill your obligations. That's why you're the face of the league. That's why you're one of the most iconic figures this game has ever seen. You finished 16 games under 500. As a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, a place where you came to win chips just to fulfill what others before you had done, Kobe and Shaq and everybody else in between. You finished 16 games under 500 in a playoff system that extended from 8 teams per conference to 10 teams per conference. You still missed the playoffs. And that's not a failure? You got to be kidding me. See, it's stuff like that where LeBron becomes so disappointing because he has such profound intelligence and such profound things to say that when you say something like that, Key, you give folks fodder to assume that you lying about other stuff that you might say down the road because we see your willingness to lie to our face right there with a straight face. I mean, and then he didn't even have the decency to have on shades when he did it yesterday. I mean, if there was ever a time to wear shades, that would have been a time. Not when you sitting on the bench during the game, indoors. The best time for him to wear shades was yesterday because that lie that he told. You cannot have people, just like I got on Russell Westbrook, Molly, hold on.
Okay.
Just like I got on Russell Westbrook for saying during press conferences, I'm fine. I'm be all right. You know, ain't no big deal. I ain't taking this home with me. I'm cool. I had no expectations as a Laker. Just like I said that, I'm going to be fair and get on LeBron, who I love. I'm going to get on LeBron about this. Come on, bro. 16 games under 500. The New Orleans Pelicans and the San Antonio Spurs finished a minimum of 14 games under 500, and they were better than y'all. And the season's not a failure? Come on, man.
Hold on. Let me play,
you just get this certain thing you just can't say.
Hold up. Let me play devil's advocate. Did LeBron play well this season?
Yes.
Did he pass Karl Malone
Yes.
scoring title?
Yes.
So it wasn't a failure for him.
No, the season was a failure because LeBron has taught us it's not about individual greatness.
But he can't help other people.
Oh, yeah, he's supposed to. Excuse me. Hold on. Let me check Molly on this, Keyshawn.
We gone, man. You check.
Where do the Cleveland Cavaliers go if LeBron James ain't leading them? Where do the Miami Heat go if LeBron James is not leading them? Where do the Lakers go 2 years ago if LeBron is not leading them? Yes, you're that dude as an individual player, but your individual excellence, along with your ability to galvanize the troops around you, contributes to team success, Molly. You can't give that pass. You can't sit up there and say.
AD missed half the games. You just said all the issues with Russ. I'm just saying.
Under 500 and the season's not a failure? You can't say that.
It's a complete failure. And he may have been saying it in a tongue-in-cheek matter because, first of all, I'm not believing it. And I don't think anybody that played a sport or followed a sport the way we do or believing that the Lakers season wasn't a failure. So I'm not even really going to read too much into it, Stephen A. It's a failure. It's simple and plain. He knows that. He knows good and god doggone well it was a failure.
And I'm just saying that, you know, when you say stuff like that, then the media looks bad for, like, come on. And then it's like all of this. And then when you speak about stuff in the future, then we're able to look at you and with a raised eyebrow and like, is he full of it or is he real? Because something like that, if you can sit up there in front of the media and say this season wasn't a failure, why should I believe you about anything? Anything.
But you don't believe him, no, Stephen. You don't believe what he just said.
No, I don't believe what he just said. I'm just saying the audacity to say something like that. With this season of all seasons, this one.
All right.
Come on, man. Just stop doing that.
With the team that he put together.
Yeah.
When we come back here on First Take, Buffalo is still looking to get to the big game. As in the Super Bowl, we focus in on Bills Mafia, and our draft blitz today is Josh Allen, a top 5 quarterback, Marcus Spears, and Key. Our First Take draft blitz series continues with the Bills. Buffalo got eliminated in that heartbreaking OT loss to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but this offseason, they got better, locking down Stephon Diggs for years to come and adding Super Bowl champion Von Miller to that D-line. Swagoo joining the party. Marcus Spears, where are you? Good to see you,
Big boy,
sir.
what's going on? Look at the brother Dapper. Look at the brother Dapper. Look at the brother Dapper with the glasses on, got the tie.
SA, I've been on that intermittent fasting. I'm down 36 pounds, so you know I'm about to get in my bag. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you.
36 pounds? How long did that take?
Time out. You look good. You look good because you're a big boy that look good, but you don't look lighter. You don't look like you lost no damn 36 pounds.
You'll see when we get to Vegas.
Huh?
You'll see when we get to Vegas.
Okay.
You'll see when we get to Vegas.
Let me take it back.
You get the Vegas body.
You can't grow one of these, so you never gonna look thick.
No. Actually, I could have, but I had them nasty bumps, so I had to get it lasered off and stuff like that because you get them nasty hair bumps. I didn't like that on my face. That's why I don't grow that big. But I got to tell you, you don't look like you lost too many pounds, but I could be wrong because I could have had you confused with Damian Woody because we know that boy ain't lose no pounds. He ain't lose no pounds. We know that.
How would he catch a straight? Why would he got to catch a straight? Come on, let's get to it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Molly, for even starting it.
No, it's all good.
No, my bad. I didn't mean Woody. I meant Liberace. With the piano in the background. My bad. I'm sorry. Let's go.
You know what?
Let's go.
I just want to apologize for him. You know how people have in their Twitter bio, like, these comments are not my employer? I just want to apologize.
Lord have mercy.
No reason to apologize.
Oh, my God.
I watched him yesterday talk about Ben Simmons and damn near cried.
Yeah, he's
It's the truth.
Listening to you.
Oh,
my God.
Yeah.
Brother hurt his hips. He hurt his hips. It went up to his back. I mean, let's move on.
Are you done?
Tweet this.
Are you done? Are you done?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's get it together, class. Let's get it together.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
Let's go. I'm just saying.
What am I, a kindergarten teacher? All right, Swagoo. Talk to me about the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
That heartbreaking loss, we highlighted it. Is Josh Allen a top 5 quarterback?
Absolutely. Absolutely he is. Because if he was available, they would have teams giving up 3-4 first-round picks to get him. And based on what he did last year, we just coming off that game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and obviously Mahomes and the Chiefs came out with the victory, but we all know Josh Allen played well enough to win the game. And everybody's confident. I believe that the Bills are going to go in as the favorites to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC this year. Even though we're going to talk about the AFC West and all of those teams, I believe the Bills are right now sitting at number 1 in that conference. And it has everything to do with Josh Allen. And people got to remember this too. Josh Allen has a great arm. He can put the ball wherever it needs to go. But they forget about the athleticism. They forget about his legs. And that's a part of his game too that is up there with every quarterback that you consider dual threat or mobile, because we've seen him take over games using his legs. Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback, and I pray to God Keyshawn Johnson and Stephen A. Smith don't come on this damn TV and say he's not.
Well, you got your wish, buddy, because he's not in my top 5. I'm sorry to say it. Nah, he's not in mine.
What?
He's just not in mine. When I look at the list, he's not in mine. However you want to, if you want to go Aaron Rodgers, I'm not even placing him in order, fellas. I'm going Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, and here's one for you, a guy who hadn't even played in a year, in Deshaun Watson. I slide him in there, and then I got Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. Now, that doesn't mean sitting at 6 is a bad deal. I understand what you're saying. We saw him against Kansas City. It was not his fault. They let Patrick Mahomes go down the field and cap it off. I get all that. But who you going to put him in front of? You putting him in front of Brady? You putting him in front of Patrick? You putting him in front of Rodgers? I mean, like Joe Burrow was a Aaron Donald sack away from winning the Super Bowl in his second year in the league. So when you look at that, who are you putting him in front of?
Well, first of all,
Stephen A. Go. Stephen A. Go.
First of all, a couple of things. As an aside, getting back to the hip action for a second, I think Ben Simmons should consult with Dak Prescott. We're doing that pregame exercise, with the hips. You know what I'm saying? He should do that. I think he should do that, all right? I think his hips will be better. So let's get that out the way first, okay? Let's get that out the way. Now let me get back to you with the quarterback spot, Keyshawn.
Go right ahead.
I love Justin Herbert. I really, really do. I put him ahead of Justin Herbert right now.
Okay.
Why wouldn't I? All right, so that's one out the box. Joe Burrow balled out, but that didn't take away from what Josh Allen did. I mean, when you look at Joe Burrow, Cincinnati's defense played better in the AFC Championship game, but when you look at what Buffalo did, first of all, I think the Buffalo Bills, I think Leslie Frazier, I don't know if he'll ever get another head coaching job again. When you can't stop a team from getting a field goal range in 13 seconds. I mean, damn, 13 seconds. I think that will be held against. If Eric Bieniemy can't get a head coaching job, Leslie Frazier's days as a head coach have been over. He ain't the head coach of Buffalo, but he was a coordinator that was about to get the head coaching job until he gave up that damn field goal. Let him get in field goal range in 13 seconds when the Dallas Cowboys couldn't even get a snap off in 14 seconds. I think that's just atrocious. Now, the bottom line is this.
How he figured out how to swing Dallas.
I can't stand you.
Whatever. The point is, it's necessary for both of y'all, all right? You heard me. But the bottom line is this. When you think about Allen, okay, you look at Tom Brady. We're not going to sit up there and put him against Tom Brady out of respect because Tom Brady's the GOAT. We know what kind of season he had. Aaron Rodgers is that dude. He's a bad brother. We get that. Patrick Mahomes is that. Outside of that, how am I just going to put Deshaun Watson in there? You didn't even play a whole year last year. How can I just do that?
Because the last time I laid eyes on him, he was ridiculous.
Time. The last time you laid eyes on him, but the last time you laid eyes on football, he wasn't anywhere
Josh
around.
Allen, you just
the fact of the matter is, I got to look at that. Wait a minute. I'm not questioning the greatness of Deshaun Watson. That brother's a stud. Listen, he got his money. We know what Cleveland's doing. We know why, because that brother's he's something special. But to sit up there and to look at Josh Allen and the last 2 seasons that he has had and how he's knocking on the door and how great he has been, to put a guy ahead of him that we ain't seen in 18 months. I mean, come on, Key. I think that's a bit extreme. That's a bit extreme.
So for me, when I look at Josh Allen and we're talking about moving forward, I'm not even basing mine on last year. I'm talking about moving forward. You know who's calling the plays for the Buffalo Bills now? Ken Dorsey. Brian Dable actors with the New York Molly Giants. That is going to be a big factor on that young quarterback. Ken Dorsey ain't Brian Dable.
Yes, it is. But did you not watch this man? Did you not watch this man all year last year, bro?
Absolutely,
like
I did.
Now, we having a conversation about the top 5 quarterbacks right now. How don't you have Josh Allen in there based on the field?
Well, 6. I got him at 6.
6? Come on. Let me ask you a question. Did you have Justin Herbert in your top 5?
He's at 5.
All right, let me ask you this question. As much as I love Justin Herbert, because I do, and that's to me, that's why Brian Flores ain't in Miami.
Phenomenal.
If they pick Justin Herbert in Miami instead of Tua Tagovailoa, Brian Flores would still be there, and the Miami Dolphins might be winning the AFC East instead of Buffalo. But having said all of that, I ask you a simple question, Keyshawn Johnson. Has Justin Herbert been in the playoff yet?
No.
All right, so has Josh Allen been? Twice?
Yes.
You see what he's done in the playoffs, right?
Yes.
How you going to put a second-year player ahead of him and he ain't even been in the postseason?
Because, Stephen A., I watched him not only in college, also I watched probably 8 games in college, and I probably watched up close in person here in L.A., probably about 6 of them, and I like what I see.
So
I just like what I see.
We going by what we saw in college 3 years ago?
No. I'm telling you, I have a favorite because I had an opportunity to see his college work and his NFL work up close in person.
So what about Josh Allen you don't like?
And playing
what
in
about
LA,
Josh Allen you don't like?
It's not that I don't like him. I just prefer Justin Herbert sitting at 5. That's all.
The fact that he played in L.A. that ain't got nothing to do with this, because you know how you.
No, I'm not a Charger fan.
Everything to do with it.
I know
I'm
that,
not a Charger fan.
You are not a Charger fan, but you are a fan of all things L.A. Anything that's L.A. sprinkles on, I mean, gets a biased treatment with you.
That's not true.
Hold up. You two.
So you don't
go
think
Keyshawn.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Marcus.
So moving things forward, you don't think losing Brian Dable as his offensive coordinator is going to affect the Buffalo Bills offense.
No,
You
I'm not
think
saying
Ken
that.
Dorsey can
I'm
walk-
saying when it happens, call me. But at this particular moment,
Right.
don't sit up there and say he did now.
Well, we shouldn't even be
Call me
having
when
this
it happens.
conversation. We shouldn't
Marcus,
even be
last
having this
word here.
conversation till the season start then.
But why not? Because we're going on
and
what we
why
just
would you-
saw
why
last
would you
season.
think- Why would you think Ken Dorsey would come in and change everything?
But it
and
ain't,
this man
it's not,
just went
hey,
to the AFC.
hey, Swagoo, it's not about changing everything. It's about calling things at the right time. You know, if your defensive coordinator is calling something, they might have the same scheme, but if he's dialing up a blitz on third and 29, that might be the wrong call. Opposed
But
to
Key,
somebody
I just
else
watched.
that would do it.
I just watched the Kansas City Chiefs not score a point in the second half against the Bengals.
Okay.
With
I
the
will
same
say
offensive
this in
coordinator and
Keyshawn's
head coach.
defense, though.
Yeah, but
Because Key had Josh Allen 6. He was 6th in QBR. He was 6th in completion. So that number 6, I mean, it does match up with the
Keyshawn
numbers. I
tripping.
know y'all don't care about
I'm
the
not
numbers.
tripping.
Hey,
Y'all
I
tripping,
suppose,
man.
but it is
You
what it
tripping,
is.
man.
like, you
All right.
glad I didn't put Derek Carr in there.
Tripping.
Now you better not have put Derek Carr in there. You would have ran. You would have ran. You would have ran
time
home.
out,
You would have
though.
ran home with those mountain lions.
radio
That's what
key.
you would have done.
This radio
Fucking
key
play.
right
Time out. It
This
should
is
be a
radio
different
key.
deal this year with Derek Carr because he's got himself some
I'm done.
serious offensive
Yeah, that's
weapons.
true,
where-
but he
that's
ain't
the
better
day,
than Josh Allen.
Okay, let's go. The Blitz rolls on tomorrow with the Eagles. Philly coming off a playoff, trading wide receiver Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, but added Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster, while the Raiders reloaded with the addition of Devontae Adams. The Chargers upped their defense, most notably getting Khalil Mack from the Bears, and the Broncos believe they have their quarterback in Russell Wilson. Keyshawn, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch in the fall, but which was the biggest AFC West move this offseason? And I'm going to guess that you're going to go Raiders.
I am absolutely going Raiders and Devontae
See?
Adams.
There we
Ain't no need to roll
go.
your eyes, Stephen A. It's real.
There we
Think
go.
about it.
Diva receiver.
Devontae Adams, Derek Carr inherited 123 catch, 1,500, 12 touchdown wide receiver, something he hasn't had since the early stages of Amari Cooper. He was working with Hunter Renfrow as his main weapon on the offensive side of the ball. Now he's got Renfrow, he's got Darren Waller, and Devontae Adams with Josh Jacobs in the backfield. How could you stop that offense with a mind like Josh McDaniels dialing up the plays as a primary offensive play caller and the head coach? You can't tell me that he just didn't land in heaven by picking up that receiver.
Let me tell you something, Keyshawn. Devontae Adams is about to find out. Life's a little bit different with Derek Carr throwing you the football.
Are you out of
He's
man?
about to find out. He's about to find out. I'm not, and Derek Carr, listen, by the way, you know what? You paint a bad picture of me. I actually
No,
like
I don't.
Derek.
You
I
the
actually
one
like
saying on
Derek
national
Carr.
TV, not
Say
me.
you paint a bad
I actually like, yes, sir, you paint a bad picture. I'm a victim. I've been victimized by Keyshawn Johnson. Yes, I have, okay? Because I happen to like Derek Carr. I think that Derek Carr is a damn good quarterback. I think that he is an even better person. And a lot of the things that we lament about dudes and the things that they say and how they conduct themselves in press conferences and talking to the media and all of this other stuff. We don't say that about Derek Carr. This brother's got his head on straight. Yeah. He's a leader, and I got a lot of respect for Derek Carr. I like him. But he ain't no Aaron Rodgers now. Not when it comes to flinging that football.
But
now,
we didn't confuse him with
I'm
Aaron
not
Rodgers.
confusing
Now,
them. I'm simply saying that what you saw from Devontae Adams in Green Bay, I don't know if you're going to see that in Vegas.
No, you're
That's all
going
I'm saying.
to see it.
That's all I'm
You're
saying.
going to see it. He's not going to change.
Let me tell you something else. Let me tell you something else. Well, you've been wrong before, sir. I mean, I know you know.
And
You've
you
forgotten
have
more.
too.
You've forgotten more football than I'll ever know. But I'll be damned if your record is 100%. That's flawless. That damn sure ain't true. Damn it, it wasn't through the last segment.
Move?
It wasn't through the last segment. Okay.
Who you got as the biggest move?
There we go. So now this. Russell Wilson in Denver. I would remind y'all, excuse me, since Peyton Manning left, they had Trevor Siemian, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, and who the hell did they have? And now you got Russell Wilson as your quarterback with Cortland Sutton, with Jerry Jeudy and these boys. I would not sleep on
You do, Stephen A.
Denver.
Hold on, man.
In
I hate
terms
to
of
cut you
impact,
off.
biggest move.
No, but I heard to cut you off. You said with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
You gonna get them out of
And
witness
Tim Patrick.
protection?
No.
Are you gonna get them out of witness protection?
Time
Because
out.
they
Let me say
best
this.
receiver,
Let me say this
their best receiver,
Let me
their
say it and
best
give it to
receivers
Swagoo.
in Seattle,
Can
and
I
that was the
finish my
tight
point?
end.
I just want to give it to Swagoo. Here's all I'm saying. The question was the biggest move. I understand what Devontae Adams means, but Derek Carr and Wall and those boys could already play. You didn't have a quarterback in Denver as far as I was concerned.
Right.
You got one now.
Can I just
That's
say
why.
one thing really quick? Can we just laugh for a moment? Did you guys see the Nathaniel Hackett press conference, by the way?
No, I did not.
Okay, so did either of you see it, Kier Marcus?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, he was hilarious. And he literally, do you see in the press conference, he was like, I was excited to meet Russ, but I was really excited to meet his wife.
me.
I'm like, did this man really just say this as head coach? He's like, I got a suit up here. You know, it feels so good. And it was nice to meet Russ, but Sierra,
I mean,
it was hilarious.
I think we all would be.
Swagoo.
I think we all would be.
Swagoo.
No comment.
3 weeks ago, about three and a half weeks ago, I was in L.A. and I ran
Big
into
time
Russell
story.
Wilson.
Here you go.
Here we go.
And the wife.
Tee it up.
And the wife, Sierra.
You said.
Nathaniel Hackett, I just want to say, I understand.
Oh my goodness. All right, Marcus, go ahead. You guys need to watch that press conference because
I didn't want to
he
say
was
that.
hilarious.
I didn't want to say that.
He was hilarious.
I just wanted to say that.
Marcus,
I
go
understand.
ahead.
I understand.
Look, I knew my brothers was gonna go offense. For me, it's J.C. Jackson coming over to the Chargers because I think all of these offenses honestly cancel each other out. When you look across the whole AFC West, you can go team by team and say this dude dynamic, this quarterback is dynamic, and I agree. Devontae probably ascends to the top wide, will ascend to the top wide receiver. Russ coming over, completely agree. But I go on the defensive side of the football because at some point, you're going to have to get off the damn field. You're going to have to lock up with one of these wide receivers and feel confident enough that you have these guys. I don't know what the Raiders secondary going to look like. I think Denver defense is going to be good, but I think that. I know Tyrann Mathieu just left Kansas City, and I know they brought Reed over from Houston, and I think he's a really, really good player, but I don't know what that defense is going to look like without Tyrann Mathieu from a mentality standpoint. So when I look across this league, and we can go offense, and we love to talk about it, and all of these dudes are great quarterbacks, and that's going to carry the day in this conversation. J.C. Jackson had 8 interceptions last year. He is considered a lockdown cornerback. And last time I checked, the team that won the Super Bowl, even though Jalen Ramsey had some plays where he gave up, he still was a factor. He still was a guy that was very important to what the Los Angeles Rams was doing. J.C. Jackson, I believe, is the sneakiest, best move to come over in this division. I can get to Khalil Mack, but everybody got pass rushers in this. Everybody don't have a lockdown corner.
I just don't understand how y'all are going to act like this is not the biggest thing in Denver when they had no quarterback.
That's
Denver,
what I'm saying.
It's four good quarterbacks. It's already 4 good quarterbacks.
Okay.
Yeah. But Swagoo, here's what I'm going to say, though. I'm just going to warn you on one thing. When defensive backs
The defense he played in?
Swagoo?
I know where you're going.
You already know what I'm getting ready to say. When the defensive backs leave the New England Patriots after having record-breaking careers, all I'm going to do is say, be careful when they go out on the free agent market and get paid. That's all I'm going to tell you.
I'm out on the limb.
Take my advice if you want to.
I'm out on the limb.
Or not.
Okay.
I'm out on the limb. I got the Chargers winning the division. So I'm out on a limb. I'm bought in.
Well, here's what
Swagoo.
Crazy
Swagoo.
as hell.
Hold on, Swag.
Call it on 4th
Swag.
down from his 17.
Hold on, Swag. I would say this to you. You got them winning the division. Denver's got a chance. They had no chance
100%.
before Russell Wilson arrived. The Chargers still had a chance without J.C. Jackson's arrival. So I'm saying that's when we answer the question about biggest move. Yeah. That's the biggest impact.
Okay.
Raiders were in the playoffs. Chargers was in the picture until the last week of the season, the last game of the regular season. Denver was nowhere to be found. That's going to change. I am right. Y'all are wrong.
Okay, well, I guess
Okay.
That's a lie. I mean,
Two football
that's not
players,
true,
First
but
family of
NFL
we'll
Denver.
listen to you.
We're just gonna all, we're gonna all keep talking over each other. Let's go to break.
I mean, why
We're all
Keyshawn got to
talking
look
each other.
serious like he gonna do something? to me?
I'm right,
Just 'cause I
y'all
disagree.
wrong.
You know, people, Keyshawn trying to
Marcus.
scare
You need,
Appreciate
hey,
you
you need to
moonlighting
put
with
your,
us.
you
We
need to
miss
put
you.
your, you need to put your reporter hat on and find out what the hell happened to Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
oh,
waiting
wait,
for you to
hold
come
on.
answer.
Hold on. He's
right.
the grave digger.
right. He's right.
Marcus.
He's right.
Don't call him reporter.
right.
He's the grave digger.
He's right. He's right.
Self-proclaimed.
Grave
Keyshawn,
digger.
no, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out. What the hell was he doing, Keyshawn? What the hell was he doing? He hurt his back. He ain't played since last June.
Okay, let's go.
What was he
Man,
doing,
leave that
man?
Let's go.
What was he
Man,
doing?
leave that
Bomb.
man alone.
Well, Stephen A., the floor is yours. Tell us about the state of your New York Knicks.
They stink. And I'm not talking about basketball. I'm talking about the organization. And right now, I'm very disappointed with Leon Rose. And I'm not talking basketball. Let me explain. Julius Randle, for example. You had a bad season. Julius Randle, if you're watching this, my brother, just grow up. You're a good brother. You care, you play hard, you can finish at the basket, you got an arsenal, just be ambidextrous, use your right hand a bit more, work on your jump shot. You only shot 41% from the field and only 30% from three-point range. You plummeted in both categories, shooting from the perimeter. Maybe it's because you 6'8", you powerful, you can finish at the basket against anybody, and you shouldn't be out there trying to dribble the ball between your legs like a point guard. But when I say grow up, what I mean is the same fans that affected you in a negative way because they booed you and held you accountable when you were playing bad were the same people who supported you, bro. And they loved you, they loved on you, you understand? And they gave you a lot of props and a lot of love. Be bigger than that. So what they booed you? It's only for the night you play bad. You come out the next night, you play good, they're gonna love you. Accept that, man. Love you, love your family. Stop all that sensitive nonsense. You in New York City. Get some alligator skin and toughen the hell up in terms of your psyche. Because we need you, period. R.J. Barrett, can't say enough about this brother, how proud I am of him, because he started using his right hand a little bit more, became more formidable, clearly working on his game. We get all of that. I could be somebody that said they should have drafted Garland instead of him, or they should have drafted, a point guard instead of Obi Toppin and Halliburton, but that's neither here nor there. Where I'm disappointed in the organization is that with Leon Rose, you don't talk to anybody since September. And then you do a one-on-one interview, albeit with the great Mike Breen. How cowardice can you come across? You got a whole bunch of people in New York that they got some questions to ask you. And it wasn't answered on the MSG network, Jim Dolan's home. And Jim Dolan is a petulant child. I'm not questioning him as a man. I'm not questioning him in terms of, him hiring minorities. A phenomenal record in that regard. But that weak suggestion, and I'm not talking about Breen because he asked a lot of great questions and he knows what he's doing. But if you're Leon Rose, you're going to do a one-on-one interview for the network owned by your boss instead of the media out there that's covered you all year long, that has a plethora of questions to throw in your direction because they're privy to knowledge that most people ain't privy to. It was a clear, evasive tactic. And Leon Rose, who I know, has courage and he's a good man and he's better than that. And it's a damn shame that every time I turn around and look at the New York Knicks, y'all run around organizationally, not the players. I'm talking about management. You run around like a bunch of wusses, scared of your own damn shadow, mainly led by James Dolan, who's as petulant as they come. Worldwide West is an asset to that organization. Kenny Payne and the rest of the coaching staff is an asset. Tom Thibodeau is an asset. The management, Scott Perry and those boys are assets. But Dolan is a child. And Leon Rose should have enough clout to be bigger than he's been. Disappearing. I mean, you got guys in state penitentiaries more accessible to him. It's embarrassing and it's weak. And that's why the New York Knicks don't seem to grow with any damn consistency because of the cowardice tendencies that y'all continue to display. Make me sick. Change the subject. I'm so sick of y'all. Just embarrassing. All the damn time. All because y'all can't grow up.
Let's leave it there and go to the
Make me
opposite
sick.
of cowardice.
Ridiculous.